Anyway, so he said he'll build the wall, said he'll pay for it, took a huge risk, and I would predict that you're going to see a major movement in the polls as a result of this. We'll find out by next week. But, of course, the polls have been moving in Trump's direction now for the last 2 weeks. Joining us is Madeline Moreira, and she's the director at Latinos for Trump. And, by the way, next Sunday, her coalition, along with other Hispanic groups, are going to be doing something big in Miami for Donald Trump. Francisco Hernandez, an immigration attorney out of Texas, is back with us.
Hi, Mr. Hannity.
Hi, Sean.
Madeline, let me start with you. So why is there this perception that Latinos don't support Trump when, in fact, polls show that they do?
It's just the typical liberal identity politics. If I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the number one issue that Hispanic voters care about, it's not immigration, it's the economy. And if you look at the issue polls, big majorities see that Donald Trump is the stronger candidate in the economy. Of course, he's a famous businessman. And, so while we're impressed by what he said on immigration yesterday, I'd love to see him do something game-changing, like announce Rand Paul for his appointee for Commerce Secretary or something like that. Hispanics are not monolithic. We care about issues that affect Americans. Hispanic, that's our background, that's our heritage, but our present identity is American, and we vote the way every other American voters do, for the most part.
Francisco, you've said to me you support a wall, right? You want to end illegal immigration, right?
Yes, and illegal immigrants want to end illegal immigration too.
No, whoa. That's Francisco. Francisco, that's an insane statement. Illegal immigrants want to, eliminate. Well, if they wanted to eliminate, if they really wanted to, they wouldn't come here illegally.
Come here legal if they could. You're right.
Okay, so they don't want to end illegal immigration. They like the fact that they can sneak across our. They like the fact that they can sneak across our border, and
they
do.
Cannot.
Because if they really didn't like illegal immigration, they wouldn't.
People smugglers.
If they really wanted to end illegal immigration, they wouldn't come here illegally. So that's a little bit of a false statement. All right, let me move on here. I think the most important thing we've got going on here is whether or not we're going to build the wall and how effective that wall is going to be.
Will never be built.
You don't think it'll ever be built?
No, we can't afford it. It's not feasible. We tried to do it in the 2000s. It didn't work.
Okay. I will bet you that wall will be built if Trump becomes president. How much?
I will meet you at the border again.
Illegal immigration is already costing us over $100 billion a year.
You know
10 times more than the wall would cost.
And Trump should have talked about is how to get the cartels under control, because they're the main reason that people are risking their lives to come here. Second, it is an economic issue. If there are jobs and they're giving it to the undocumented immigrants, you're right. They will come. So we've got to make sure that if you want to solve it, okay, don't hire undocumented immigrants, and all our prices will go through the roof. Trump is just playing what we in Texas call a political cowbell. It's shiny, it clangs, but it's completely hollow. It's going to do nothing.
What you are suggesting is what everyone else would call a definition of insanity, trying something again and again and seeing if it'll work this time.
Oh, no, I have said for years that Congress needs to act.
3 million illegal immigrations, it was a complete and utter failure. So what makes everybody think that it's going to work again this time?
So you mean if we let Cubans who get here by hook or crook, they can stay here and get their green card and citizenship for free?
I happen to agree with you on that point, because we already have a refugee and asylum program on an individual basis.
It makes no sense.
I agree with you. I agree with that. We should enforce the law fairly and equally to every human being on this planet. That applies to Mexicans, South Americans, Cubans, doesn't matter where you are. And there shouldn't be a geographical advantage just because you happen to live on the border. What about all the poor people in Calcutta?
I agree. That ought to be even criteria that could be fair and equally applied. I agree with you. But it is our neighbor to the south, and in large part, we caused the economic crisis in Mexico by NAFTA, and I'm a proponent of NAFTA, but we have caused people, small farmers, that can't grow corn as cheap as the Jolly Green Giant can put it on the shelf in the Walmart in Mexico. So what's left for them to do? Head north, okay? But no wall is going to stop it. No wall is going to stop the cartel.
If you boil it down, we have a giant problem where millions of people are ignoring the law. It's hurting the country on countless levels. The law of the land should be enforced equally to everyone to whom it applies.
I couldn't agree with you more. Let's set up the criteria. Mr. Hannity, you set up a 5-point criteria years ago. Nobody listened to it.
No, I was right then, and I'm right now, and I agree with Donald Trump now. I think Donald Trump laid out the plan. Listen, here's the thing that
It's hollow.
It's what?
It's hollow and eat crawfish. That's why he had to make that speech.
Okay, it's not. Listen, you're giving me political talking points now, but you know what? And I know Jeb Bush made the same prediction that Trump isn't going to build the wall. I would be stunned and shocked beyond measure if that wall didn't get built if he becomes president of the United States. And you know what? It's good for our country to do it. And I'll tell you why. Did you see at the end of the speech last night, all those mothers, angel mothers that he brought up behind him? And all of those mothers lost their children, that died needlessly. Can I finish, please? I'm talking about mothers that lost their children. Why are you being so rude? That lost their children because of illegal immigration and criminals and murderers killing innocent Americans.
You don't have to use them. You don't have to use people's emotions. Just say what you're going to do and put out a plan how you're going to do it. That was so cheap to use those poor folks.
Cheap? What about their emotions? What about their emotions when their children were killed by people who should never have been here in the first place?
Well, I guess maybe, Francisco, you think it's cheap, but you know what? Those parents have to go the rest of their lives without their children. And by the way, there are thousands of them. This is not the case of just those women on stage. These are not rare instances. It's happened a lot.
And he's an immigration attorney. He should know. I'm an attorney as well. I used to work in immigration. And you and I both know there are people who have come here 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times in a row who are committing crimes, and they're hurting this country.
And you and I would agree on what the solution is for that.
The prison system, the court system.
Why do you have no heart? Why do you have no heart for mothers that lost their children?
I do have a heart. That's why it offends me that he used them.
I don't hear the heart at all. What I hear is that you say he used them, but he's also telling the American people the damage that has been done as a result of illegal immigration. For example, do you think it's fair to the taxpayers of the United States that they have to foot the bill, $113 billion, in order to pay for illegal immigrants, and pay for their schools, and pay for their health care, and pay for their education?
Well, that's going to take us about an hour-long debate to justify that.
You think do you think it's fair for the American people that they have been bearing the burden of literally paying billions of dollars in taxes a year because of illegal immigration? Is that fair to them?
True, it would not be fair, but let's go back to what you said. Let's establish some fair, consistent criteria.
I asked you, listen, you want to answer another question. Answer my question.
We have laws already, and they're already fair.
But they didn't work, did they? Congress has sat on their butts for now.
No, the president has decided unilaterally not to enforce the law of the lands, which I believe is lawless and unconstitutional.
Oh, come on.
So now I'm going to ask you another question. We have 95 million Americans out of work. We have 8 million immigrants, either illegal immigrants working or looking for work. Do you think it's fair to American workers that they have to compete with illegal immigrants for the few jobs that are available, and because of the increased competition, it drives down the wages that they pay?
We're assuming that the U.S. citizens will get up on a roof on 105-degree weather. Let's make it instead of policy and punishing, let's just say we're going to give employers an incentive if they'll hire U.S. citizens to do these dirty jobs. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's not for you to determine what jobs Americans want or don't want. There's 95 million Americans out of the labor force, a 20% increase for black Americans who no longer participate. They're out of the labor participation force. And then you've got a 58% of black Americans now on food stamps as a result of Obama's policies. And I listen to you, and you don't care about anybody except, I guess, the people that are paying you to let them stay in this country illegally that are benefiting from the generosity of American taxpayers.
To try to get them here legally and keep them here legally. That's
you've never represented illegal immigrants and tried to keep them here?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever represented any illegal immigrants on American soil and attempt to help to keep them here?
Yes, they're good, hard-working people.
Okay, so you make some of your money helping people that didn't respect our laws and sovereignty to stay here.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I said you get paid money to help people that didn't respect American law and sovereignty.
You're getting paid a lot of money to put on a show about illegal people being here. I'm
not getting paid anything, and I can see that it's not fair to enforce our law differently depending on what you've done and where you've come from.
You and I do not disagree one bit on that. Not one bit.
And you also get...
Good, I'm glad we can agree.
And what do you say to the people who lose jobs to illegal immigrants and they then themselves have to go on food stamps and social assistance?
Speak up. Let them go on the stage with Trump and say, you know what? I applied for...
Well, why? If they go on the stage with Trump, you're going to say that Trump is using those people, and that's not fair to those people.
Exactly.
So you just told them to put them on stage.
They're not there.
But the reality is you don't care as long as the people that pay you get to stay in the country illegally.
Now we're making it about me, but you make millions of dollars putting on shows.
You have no idea how much I get paid.
Immigrants.
I get paid to talk about the issues of the day, which means I'm a talk show host. I'm not helping illegal immigrants get to stay in a country that they didn't respect American law and sovereignty.
Trump wouldn't have been up there last night without talking about it, and the networks and you and the vote and the parties, everybody's making money off of them, right? But we all agree that there ought to be some.
But I'm not making money off of people that break American laws like you are.
Well, we agreed that, hey, let's come up with the criteria. Let's get it done.
We have to do what's
I'm
right.
willing to back the criteria you put on this show,
Right.
Mr. Hannity, 5 years ago.
What are you going to
Everybody
say,
says
Madeline?
that we can't do it and that there's too many people. Over 12 million people are arrested every year by law enforcement. 12 million people. More than 2 million people are in jail at any given point. So how on earth do we do it? I mean, it should be impossible, right, based on the logic of you and everybody else who says we can't deport everybody. This is America. It's not a third world country. We need to enforce our laws. Everybody says Trump might be another Reagan. I think he'll be another Kennedy because Kennedy made his speech saying that we were going to go to the moon, and NASA had no idea he was going to say it. And
Right.
they said,
We're gonna have to leave
we
it
don't
here.
even have the technology to even try to do this. But he believed we could do it, and we did it within a decade. So Trump is going to be that president who wills us into doing what we have, forcing our law for the benefit of everybody here. And you know what? I think even your clients, it can end up helping them because as soon as we finish doing the enforcement part, Trump said, we're going to reform the legal procedure for them to come in. So maybe they'll begin to come in sooner and not the 18-year wait from Mexico. Let's try something different. It can be better for everybody. Like we said, both Mexico and the United States. What he said with the president of Mexico yesterday, that was a historic moment. It was something we never heard before.
And he did it from a position of strength. He didn't go in there being weak. He told everybody how proud and how much he loves his country. What a difference from Barack Obama. Thank you both for being with us. Madeline, thank you.
Hannity.
Francisco, thank you.
Hannity headline.